the United States is ripping Israel publicly over their military failure in Gaza and their inability to get rid of Hamas. The Biden administration blasts Israel over their failed strategy of targeting civilians and using collective punishment as a way of dealing with Hamas. This is essentially the Biden administration being frustrated that Israel is taking them down with them, because it was you, the Biden administration, the United States, that was sharing intelligence with Israel during their genocide in Gaza. The United States was even assisting Israel with targeting, which is why Aaron Bushnell self-immolated, because he didn't want to be complicit with genocide. So don't get it twisted. Biden blasting Israeli policy is just them trying to save their own ass. The United States also exposed that despite all the death and destruction, despite all the women and children that Israel murdered, that Israel only killed around 30 to 35% of Hamas fighters. And I cannot emphasize enough that this number is grossly overinflated, because the United States and Israel considers any Palestinian military-aged men killed in the conflict as Hamas militant fighters. Around 70% of the people killed in Israel genocide in Gaza was women and children, just like in the war on terror. Isn't it interesting that the amount of militants that was killed directly aligns with the amount of young men and men that was also slaughtered during the conflict? The United States is blasting Israel because their genocidal policies just led to a massive boom in recruitment for Hamas. Now we have Hamas that is still around and going through a recruitment boom. The axis of resistance against Zionism more united than ever, and we have a record amount of nations that are acknowledging Palestine as a state, most recently Ireland, Norway, and Spain. The Zionist project of Israel has been utterly defeated.
What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome back, my friends. I am back for another episode of Nick at Noonish. RBN Live, we are in the new era. What's poppin', my friends? Big shout out to my friends at Hotspot. Let's get right to it. We have what is happening, what I've been explaining over the last few months now, where Hamas and the Palestinian resistance, they took a massive W over Israel. Israel is losing to Hamas. Israel, once again, and if you don't want to say Hamas is winning, I think they accomplished their goals of expanding diplomatic relations with the Palestinian people, with Europe and around the world. Now you have Hamas that completely checkmated Israel diplomatically. When you look at Israel and their stated objectives was to destroy Hamas and to ruin the Palestinian people diplomatically. That is literally what Hamas accomplished, my friends. In every struggle against colonial powers, I know this recent conflict is particularly gruesome, but if you study the history of liberation and revolution, it's always violent. It's always violent. It's always the West and the colonized powers engaging in mass slaughter because they're upset, because they're not able to crush dissent in the revolutionary movement. There's a reason why we have North Korea that still exists. North Korea exists because we lost the war in Korea. So what we did in response was to murder around 2 million Koreans. The same with the Viet Cong. We couldn't defeat the Viet Cong, but we slaughtered the Vietnam people engaged in torture. We know the My Lai massacre was just one of many. So this is nothing new when colonial powers are getting their ass whooped, because there's a reason why the IDF is refusing to release casualty numbers. They're not releasing casualty numbers because a lot of these IDF soldiers are returning home in a casket. Now, the Western media is misrepresenting why there's a lot of Israelis in the street. And the liberal media, the MSNBC and CNNs, they've been doing this on purpose, where they pretend that the people that are here in the streets are here in the street because they're upset at the brutality of Israel's war and how brutal Netanyahu has been. That is not why Israelis are in the streets. Israelis are in the streets because Israel is losing to Hamas. And there's massive casualties in the IDF, and that's why Israel refused to release the death count of IDF soldiers. Israel has suffered a massive cost to this war, my friends. A massive cost. Their economy is in shambles because of the resistance in Ansar Allah, because of multiple boycotts internationally. Israel economy is in shambles. They're losing a ton of soldiers, and they are getting hammered diplomatically in a way that even I didn't see coming, my friends. France and Germany? Bruh. Absolutely did not see this coming. And Israel, Zionists, the West, they're in complete shambles after this announcement that Germany, the EU, and France, they're going to abide by the ICC in the arrest warrant, which highlights, I'm going to get to this very soon, this highlight how Hamas completely and utterly checkmated Israel. My friends, unlike what the West believe, unlike what the genocidal psychopaths in the West believe, you do not win a war by mass slaughtering women and children. That's not how you win a conflict. You have to accomplish your military objectives, and that is not what Israel accomplished. Do you guys know that Hamas freed hundreds of Palestinian prisoners? You had a hostage deal, and God knows what it is now, because I did a hotspot on this. There was a hostage deal where no one in the West explained what Israel gave to Hamas in order to get this hostage deal passed. You had 155 or so. I remember them, I think it was around 155 women and children that were stuck in Israeli dungeons that was hostages of Israel, like people who was not charged with crimes. And Israel was forced to release these people. So Hamas, because of their action, it directly led to Palestinian hostages being freed. The Israeli military being exposed on October 7th. And it's because of these embarrassments. It's because the West underestimated Hamas and the resistance because they assumed they were just mudslinging peasants. They took a giant L, and now in order to cope with that L, they have to engage in genocide and mass cleansing and murdering of women and children when it's not a victory on the battlefield. So we explain how you have massive casualties in the IDF. You have Hamas that was able to free many Palestinian hostages. You have Israel that is now suffering diplomatically, because one of the things that Israel stated after October 7th is that we're going to destroy Palestine, not just only on the battlefield, but diplomatically. Like, there's never going to be a support for a Palestinian state. Now, you guys know how to do things. I tell you guys the truth, whether you like it or not. The reality of the situation is there was zero momentum behind a Palestinian state before October 7th. You guys can be upset all you want at that reality, but I told you guys pacifism is not how you lead to social change. Hamas and Israel are in conflict because Israel is an occupying power, and they are brutally suppressing the Palestinian people. So Hamas is engaging in their legal right to armed struggle as outlined by many countries, including Brazil, including China, who outlined this universal right for colonized people. People are victims of apartheid to resist their colonized power. So under this context, there's been a struggle between Israel and Hamas. The difference is October 7th, Israel got their ass beat so bad, they got humiliated so bad, it made international news. And they thought they was going to use October 7th to bury Palestinians, people in Gaza, diplomatically, and that is not what happened, my friends. This is for our brothers and sisters at Hotspot, who you guys know Hotspot, they does nothing but provide for us. They provide. Hotspot says the whole of Europe is ready to arrest Netanyahu. Bruh. And we didn't even get into the fact that Spain, Ireland, and Norway have accepted and they acknowledge Palestine as a state, something that Ireland should have did a long time ago. Yes, you can say it's very performative, but it's a massive L. It's a giant setback for the Israeli state, and it's a mountain of progress for the Palestinian people. And what the pacifists won't admit, what the people who are the centrists on the Palestinian side, and we talked to the Palestinian Community Network, we had many organizers on, they explained that there's a centrist wing of the Palestinian resistance that they don't really like armed struggle. Like, these are the PMCs, the PMC people who support Palestine, but they condemn Hamas. The harsh reality of the situation, these PMCs who condemn Hamas accomplish way less than not just Hamas, but Palestinian resistance group who engage in anti-colonial armed struggle. Pacifism is not how you create change when you have the boot on your neck by Zionist fascist thugs in the West. The only thing they know is getting punched in the mouth. A lot of people don't want to admit this, but they are rooting for Iran. They are rooting for Hezbollah. They're rooting for Hamas. I'm one of the few who's willing to admit it. Because you have all these ICC, ICJ resolutions. Excuse me, let me get some drink real quick. You have an ICJ resolution today where they essentially ordered Israel not to go into Rafah. And you want to know what Israel did? They immediately went into fucking Rafah. Anyway, the PMC strategy of relying on these institutions to hold apartheid genocidal regimes accountable has failed. What is causing the damage to the Zionists, not only militarily, what is uniting the region against Israel is the actions of resistance, not the PMCs who've been condemning the actions of resistance. There's a point that no one else is going to make, but this is another example of the PMC pacifist left being ineffective. The reason why you have France and Germany recognizing Palestinian statehood is because Hamas shined a light on the genocidal state of Israel that always existed. They forced Israel to show their hand. I explained how 2023 was the deadliest year for Palestinians in the West Bank. You had Israel that was engaging in mass raids of mosques in Gaza. This war was full-fledged, and one of the reasons why I covered this issue extensively was because I understood this. Understood that it was hitting a boiling point. Big shout out to everyone who also covered this in great detail, like Lee Camp. We just have Liam Cosgrove from the Gray Zone on. They do great work on Israel-Palestine. The people who've been covering this issue before October 7th, we are not the ones who are falling for Zionist talking points saying that Hamas started conflict on October 7th. That is absolutely not what happened. Hamas responded and punched Israel in the fucking mouth. I'm sorry, my team. I told my team I'll clean my language up, which I do need to do. I apologize. And the argument that they would make and the PMCs made was, oh, Hamas is going to cost the Palestinian people diplomatically, and that's not what happened. The genocidal ideology of the Israeli regime was exposed, and now the international community's hands was forced, because as I'm going to play this video where you have France and Germany and the EU acknowledging that they will support the arrest warrant of Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't want you guys to give these people any credit whatsoever. The reason why they are doing this is because there is massive protest in London and in Berlin. So the amount of protest that, and I've been following this on X, I'll show you guys a few examples, how I could even pull some of just because there's a protest every day in London. And Berlin's been on fire, and these Nazis that have been forced to show their hand, because we have all this footage of the police state in Germany brutally being the hell out peace activists, including Jewish protesters. So I covered this before, how you had Germany and their police that tear gas a lot of peace protesters in Berlin. And among those peace activists was Orthodox Jews, the most diehard followers of their faith, the people who are anti-Israel. And in this protest, the Germany police brutally arrested these people, and they deployed tear gas, which is a war crime, my friends. So think about what just happened here. We had Germany that officially was gassing the Jews once again in order to shield for genocide. Guys, you can only bullshit so much, man. The United States have completely lost their mind. UK have completely lost their mind. But you can only bullshit your population so much, my friends. And that is my only explanation to explain why France and Germany signed up to this. Because Germany, for a long time, is very thankful that they was let off the hook. They committed the Holocaust, and somehow the Arabs paid for it. Was it the Palestinians who committed the Holocaust, or was it Germany? So Germany had this burden they've been paying to Israel for years now. Because they're like, we killed so many Jewish people. Them motherfuckers are punishing Arabs and the Palestinians. So because they was let off, they've been staunch defenders of the Zionist project because of guilt of committing the genocide. And once again, we was let off. If you're losing Germany, bro, you lost. When I saw Germany say they will arrest Netanyahu and deport them, I was like, holy shit. Sorry, god damn it. Sorry, Jay. Sorry, my friends. But let me play this video. Let me finish the tweet from Hotspot so you guys have context. The whole of Europe is ready to arrest Netanyahu. The European Union expressed support for the ICC because its central mandate is ensuring justice under its jurisdiction, a spokesman said yesterday. This follows a statement from Borrell urging EU members that has ratified the ICC statute must abide by the court's decision.
Европейский Союз поддерживает МУС за его центральную роль в обеспечении справедливости для жертв во всех ситуациях, находящихся под его юрисдикцией.
Европейский Союз поддерживает Международный уголовный суд за его центральную роль в обеспечении правосудия для жертв, находящихся под его юрисдикцией, заявил представитель 21 мая после запроса прокурора суда о выдаче ордеров на арест премьер-министра Израиля Биньямина Нетаньяху, министра обороны и 3 лидеров Хамас по обвинению в предполагаемых военных преступлениях. Представитель ЕС Питер Стана заявил, что Международный уголовный суд является важным и независимым международным институтом, и ЕС будет следить и принимать во внимание этот процесс по мере его развития. Коллегия судей предварительного следствия определит, позволяют ли доказательства выдать ордер на арест. Но у суда нет средств для обеспечения соблюдения таких ордеров, а против его расследования войны в Газе выступают Соединенные Штаты и Израиль.
So now, this is such a significant moment. I cannot emphasize this enough because do you guys remember how Joe Biden, the United States, Republicans in the Senate directly rebuked and then levied unhinged threats at the ICC for daring to uphold international law against their allies? How dare you do that? Like, they're not even trying to hide the hypocrisy no more. These Nepo babies to the empire are extremely lazy. Like, it's witnessing this, guys, has been incredible because I thought taking down the empire would be much harder. I thought this would go much slower, the fall of the Zionist project, because I thought the empire managers was better than they are. No matter how much we want to talk shit about Henry Kissinger's and the oligarchs of the past, they did a good job handling and managing public perception. Now you have Josh Hawley, Mike Johnson. These people are openly threatening international courts as they try to pretend they have the high ground. And as and I've been following their coverage. CNN and MSNBC are doing their best to avoid talking about this because, as you see by this headline, Democrats are in the bind. All these Democrats who rely on AIPAC money, who rely on support from the state of Israel, these traitors, they are now forced to show their hand because Mike Johnson and these senators want to put for sanctions and punish the ICC, and now these Democrats are like, oh shit, we don't know what to do because they realize that, bro, you guys got rein in, man. We are Zionists too. Chuck Schumer, they're like, and Bernie Sanders, he's a Zionist. He grew up in the kibbutz. Like, they're like, bro, chill the fuck out. What are you doing? What are you doing? Because as the corporate media is trying to avoid showing how the criminals in our government behave, you guys think that China, do you guys think Russia state media, do you guys think Iranian state media is shy to show this? Bro, they were having a field day with the United States rebelling against international law. And I've been following CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post very closely. They've been trying their best not to share this information with their public, how the Republicans are literally threatening the order of the international court. You even have John Fetterman and some of the most, like, the Democrats who don't hide about it, they're threatening the ICC too. These are the same Democrats who are upset at MAGA and Trump for quote-unquote upending the rule of law, as they're literally threatening the international court, which is a direct violation of international law itself. And this is why this is a huge moment, my friends. Because despite the rebuke from Israel, from Joe Biden, I mean, Joe Biden came out hard. He gave an entire whole ass speech talking about how the ICC is in the wrong. Anthony Blinken went on an entire whole ass media tour to explain why the ICC is in the wrong. Despite that, France, Germany, and the entirety of the EU told the Biden administration in the United States to F off. We will not be bullied by your guys' unhinged Zionism, because Germany's like, Brian, we're Zionists too. We support Israel too, but you guys are horrible managers of the empire. What, like Germany and France, like, what are you guys doing? They're legitimately shocked. They're like, and I've explained this so many times, like especially in Scandinavia, when you look at Norway, Sweden, who was all for the Ukraine war, those sweet summer children really believed that the West was against war crimes. And because of the Ukraine war and all the stuff they were saying about Putin and the direct hypocrisy when the Biden administration supported the ICC charges against Putin, they were like, oh man, I guess America changed. Being sweet summer children. Oh man, dang, America finally support the rule of law. And then Israel commits a barbaric genocide that makes Russia look like a playground in comparison. And now they see the United States abandon their principles. And these sweet summer children in Europe are realizing, holy shit, America is crazy. America is crazy. And that's why, and this has been an ongoing story regarding like France resisting the United States more. Europe must resist pressure to become America's followers, says Macron, who is absolutely no saint. But if you become so unhinged that you lose Macron, if you, like, the United States have become so unhinged, Europe is literally rethinking their values. France is openly saying, and another thing that France has rebuked the United States on is the fact that France is like, man, I don't think we should be going to war with China. I think we should be working with China. And the right-wing media in the United States had a field day with that quote. They said, oh, this is evidence of the establishment and the ruling class being secretly embedded with the Chinese Communist Party, simply because France said, hey, man, I don't think it's smart for us to go to war with China. Maybe we should work with them in order to uplift our people. And so between the Israel thing, and I see a comment, yeah, Macron is a Zionist, guys. I understand that. But The Israeli Western Project is losing them. Even they are like, we got to follow international law. And that is not like me saying that these are great people. I'm saying this is how far Israel and the West have fallen. To the point where they're losing. They lost support of the world. The United States and Israel is isolated. We are seeing a new era of multipolarity because of the mismanagement of the ruling class over the last 20 to 25 to 30 years, because of the escalation of the U.S. sanction regime that put 1/3 of the world's population under sanctions. The war on terror, the world was on board. The world was on board with us. That's why so many African countries, where there's corruption as well, but that's one of the reasons why they accepted all these bullshit security agreements, because there was a time where the world was hypnotized by United States propaganda. Those days is over, my friends. Everything that the Henry Kissinger era of the ruling class was fighting for, the Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, George W. Bush Jr., Victoria Nuland, Anthony Blinken generation, completely ruined. The John Bolton generation, completely ruined. And for that, I thank them. Now let's get to, let me pull this article. I'll have it saved, but I'm going to find it. Spain, Ireland, Norway recognize Palestine. Here's, I don't know why they haven't saved it, but here it is. Norway, Ireland, and Spain say they will recognize a Palestinian state, deepening Israel's isolation, guys. And all this has been in play post-October 7th. I saw a few people in the corner of my eye that was like, Nick, how can you say Hamas is beating Israel? Don't you know you win wars by mass slaughtering women and children? That's what people tell me with a straight face. That's not how you win wars. That's why the West lost every war in the modern era, because they believed you won a war by killing women and children. That is not how you do it. By killing mass women and children, you led to a recruitment boom of Hamas. Now you have diplomatic support of Palestine to a level that I never thought we would see. And that's because Hamas forced the action. No dying quietly. Not letting them genocide us slowly. And that's how every revolution happens. I need you to understand, every struggle, when you look at Haiti, when you look at the slave rebellions, which led to massive massacres, in order to free ourselves from colonial rule, we must force the action, and the genocidal monsters always have, and they always accomplish, a high kill count. That's because we are ruled by Nazi thugs in the West, who will rather commit massive war crimes and throw away international law to crush rebellions against their colonized apartheid regimes. Which is why we're one of the few people not afraid to tell you guys the truth about this. Now, you're going to see something funny, because we are seeing the corporate media being forced to acknowledge the giant L that Israel is taking. If you guys don't believe me, I had a hard time picking which segment I'm going to show you guys today. Because, bro, Fox News and CNN, these motherfuckers was hilarious after Ireland, Norway, and Spain acknowledged Palestine as a state. And trust me, more states are about to follow. They already hinted at it. They was the first one to come out. There are already rumblings of a massive implosion of states acknowledging Palestine. What we've seen now is the first steps, and you're going to see the panic, my friends. This segment here, I know we watch a lot of segments where we tear our hair out. You guys see I already tore my hair out a little bit watching these segments. But this one was greatly enjoyable to me, because this one, we are seeing these motherfuckers cope. I'm sorry, my friends. I promise you guys, I'm going to stop cussing. I'm going to slowly phase it out. But anyway, let's watch this cope session by Fox News.
Ireland, Spain, and Norway have announced that they will recognize a Palestinian state. That's quite a break. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg joins me now. General, would it be true to say that Israel is winning militarily, but losing diplomatically and becoming increasingly isolated?
Cope, my friends. You guys see, well, Israel's winning militarily. Citation needed. Killing women and children do not mean you are winning the war. IDF have massive casualties. Hamas recruited more people than they lost. But anyway, let me start from the beginning. I want you guys to hear more of it. But this is a giant cope session, my
It's
friends.
a Palestinian state. That's quite a break. Retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg joins me now. General, would it be true to say that Israel is winning militarily, but losing diplomatically and becoming increasingly isolated?
Yeah, Stuart, thanks for having me. Look, this is a problem that's actually held by our inaction, meaning the President Biden's inaction, of reaching out to allies and saying, don't go there. It makes no sense to have a Palestinian state. It's not going to happen. Look, you know, there's a parallel here. You go to Taiwan, which is a democratically elected country, and you've got 23 million people, and we don't recognize them as a state. And you go to Palestine, which has less than 2 million, is governed by a terrorist organization, Hamas, in Gaza. And then you go to the West Bank, and that's also run by a terrorist organization, by the Palestinian Front. And you go, you want these people to actually have a state? It makes absolutely no sense. No, by the way,
you guys see why it's crucial for us to never accept the ruling class definition about who is a terrorist versus who is not. Hamas, and repeat after me, have a legal right to armed struggle against their colonizer genocidal state. They are just people in the West. When they call Palestinian resistance terrorists, they are just making shit up. It is Israel that engages in terrorism, but let it continue. This is very hard to get through, isn't it?
Also run by a terrorist organization, Hamas, in Gaza. And then you go to the West Bank, and that's also run by a terrorist organization, by the Palestinian Front. And you go, you want these people to actually have a state? It makes absolutely no sense. No, by the way, the reality on the ground is it's not going to happen. The Israelis won't let it happen, and the allies around that area aren't going to let it happen as well.
That's one hell of a mission. And this is the kind of mission that they say on Fox News all the time. He admits that the Israeli state will do, and we will do everything we can to stop the formation of a Palestinian state. So based on this premise, that means Hamas and the Palestinians have every right to resist you guys and your inability and the fact that you're forcing them to be colonized by you people. So you admitting that you're stopping a Palestinian state legitimizes the struggle of Hamas. And they just say the quiet part out loud. I'll be watching these segments, fam, and it's like watching a documentary. Like, I'd be shocked at the arrogance of this ruling class. And they're throwing it, my friends. I would never have guessed that Zionism would fall the way we were seeing it before I turned 50. But they're literally punting the ball because they're so smug. They're giving the talking points that legitimize our actions. They give the ICC, the ICJ, everything we need. But let's continue.
It's not going to happen. The Israelis won't let have a state. It makes absolutely no sense. No, by the way, the reality on the ground is it's not going to happen. The Israelis won't let it happen, and the allies around that area aren't going to let it happen as well. So they're going to reach out, and I think the president should pick up the phone and call the prime ministers and the presidents of each of these countries and say, that is really a dumb move, and maybe we ought to rethink about our relations with you as well. Because what you are doing, you are saying point blank, you are recognizing a terrorist state that is led by a terrorist government. And it's not going to fly.
What this guy just
it's actually
said?
foolish, Stuart.
This guy is trying to upend relationships that we have with allies. You know, allies who are not on trial for war crimes. He is willing to upend relationships we have with allies for Israel, my friends. The ruling classes wanted to sacrifice relationships with South Africa. They wanted to sacrifice relationships with everybody. Why? Because of Israel. The United States is openly isolating themselves because of Israel. Look at what he just suggested here. Anyway, let's continue.
Recognizing a terrorist state that is led by a terrorist government, and it's not going to fly. I mean, it's absolutely foolish, Stuart.
Let's move to the military side of things. Are the Israelis about to take Rafah?
Yeah, I think they are. And I think it's a good idea because they've got to close it out, basically. They've got to reduce the Hamas battalions.
They have to close it out, guys. You guys know what that means. We have pro-genocide statements that are just airing on corporate media. Unapologetic. Yeah, they should go to Rafah. You know where the refugees are? You know where it's mostly women and children? Yeah, they should go there and clear it out. Just casually acknowledging war crimes and genocide as they call other people terrorists. Sir, you are the terrorist. Zionists are the terrorists. Everything they told us about Hamas was projection.
Yeah, I think they are. And I think it's a good idea because they've got to close it out, basically. They've got to reduce the Hamas battalions that are in there. And there's only 4 really left that's there. They've got to go in, and they're already in there. And they're doing, honestly, a pretty good job, Stuart, of clearing the area and actually finishing the job that's set up. And then the next step is going to be what happens next. But you asked a question a minute ago, are they actually losing, they're fighting and winning the war, but losing the diplomatic side of the house and the public relations side of the house? And your answer is, yeah, it's kind of on the fence. But that's where I go back and say, this is where the United States needs to stand up to the whole world.
He said it's on the fence. Cope. It is absolutely not on the fence. The United States is relying on their lone veto power to protect Israel. Even the UK, I fucking give up. I'm abstaining. It's the United States' lone veto power, my friends. So this is Cope. So the answer to this question that he do not want to answer honestly, he didn't answer the military part honestly. So why we answer this part? When he said that Israel's winning militarily, he was asked about diplomatically, like, oh, it's kind of a toss-up. No, it's not. The fact that we have Germany and France willing to arrest Netanyahu, the fact that we have European countries acknowledging and recognizing Palestine, more to come. This is a complete and utter failure by the state of Israel. Hamas could not have drawn this shit up better, my friends. Well, obviously, they were probably hoping that Israel would be less genocidal. But they couldn't draw this shit up. Work better than this, but let's finish this out. We got a few more stuff to cover here. Let's continue.
And say, we're with Israel, full stop. And don't go any further than that. That's all they have to say. And just tell our allies and put them on notice that that's not where we're going to go in recognizing a Palestinian state. So they're going to finish the job militarily. They've got to do it. I think they're well on their way to finishing that. And then, of course, the hard part is what happens next, because really all this is going to be, it's the end of the beginning. They're ready to go and a follow-on how to reconstitute Gaza as well.
You don't expect President Biden to pick up the phone and call the prime ministers of these countries and say, it ain't going to happen. The whole world has got to stand firm with us. It's not going to happen, is it, General?
That is literally what happened. Bro, can YouTube please demonetize them? We've been demonetized on bullshit. We have strikes on our channel that has been overturned, because they demonetized us even though we were telling the truth. They just saying lies. Oh, Biden not doing enough. Biden has been Israel's greatest friend during this genocide. And you watch Fox News, they pretend that's not the case. Biden and his administration was literally doing everything they could to pressure the ICC, but they just make stuff up. Let's wrap it up here.
And call the prime ministers of these countries and say, it ain't going to happen. The whole world has got to stand firm with us. It's not going to happen, is it, General?
No, Stuart, it's not. I'm kind of wishing in the wind there. I know that's not going to happen. It's what probably President Trump would have done. He would have picked up the phone and said, look, we're going to talk this thing through. And
so this really, so this extends the problem, doesn't it? I mean, if you're now talking about a Palestinian state, you're extending the problem. If you're wishful thinking, yeah, they're going to have a state, that extends the problem, doesn't it? I would have thought so. General.
Absolute shambles. And I had to be and I picked that segment in particular because it was only 3 minutes. If you guys want to see some comedy, watch the segments where Fox is just having a full-fledged meltdown, realizing that their propaganda is not effective internationally. Hell, they were losing their own base. They were even losing the right. They were losing white evangelicals. That was a giant cope session, and I want to let you guys know that I Ireland, Spain, and Norway, they're not fucking around, man. I've seen the language that they are using, and I've seen the criticism that Claire Daly had, which is legit, that Ireland should have acknowledged and recognized Palestine as a state before. There are still things that Ireland and these countries can do, like impose embargoes on the genocidal state of Israel, cut them off economically. There's still, I don't want you guys to misinterpret what I'm saying, because we are supposed to hold the ruling class, especially the axis of the West, accountable. I want you guys to know there's still way more that these countries can be doing. Now, I'm not giving them hey, they're good. No, but it still is giant, despite the fact that, yeah, of course they could be doing more. But they are pretty fucking serious about this. And you had the vice president of Spain, Yolanda Diaz, that has the entirety of the right. You have Israelis that have been rage tweeting the most hilarious rage tweets I have seen the last 24 hours because of what Spain has said and what their vice president in particular has said. And now Israel is completely waging a diplomatic war against Spain because Spain is not only supporting the state of Palestine, you had their vice president that said that Palestine will be free from the river to the sea.
Presionar para que la Unión Europea rompa los acuerdos y fondos que tiene con Israel, apoyar las investigaciones sobre crímenes de guerra, revisar la compraventa de armas y presionar diariamente para conseguir un alto el fuego y parar el genocidio. Hoy celebramos que España reconoce el Estado palestino, pero no nos vamos a quedar ahí. Seguiremos presionando desde nuestra responsabilidad como gobierno para defender los derechos humanos y poner fin al genocidio del pueblo palestino. Vivimos un momento de la historia del mundo en el que hacer lo mínimo es a la vez heroico e insuficiente. Por eso no podemos detenernos. Palestina será libre desde el río hasta el mar.
Ah, Jesus Christ. How can it be possible to be that fucking based? We have people in the United States that are being censured of shit to leave for saying this. And this is the vice president. The vice president. And I will be clear, I'm not an expert of Spain domestic politics, so I'm sure that there's some corruption here. I'm sure that these people are not like heroes or whatever. But you guys see her saying from the river to the sea. Oh, just fucking amazing. You can't, this is such incredible times that we're living through, my friends. And the vice president of Spain saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, literally set off Zionists in the most hilarious way possible. The meltdown, because obviously they're upset at the other two countries too, but to have their vice president come out and say to the river to the sea, when this happened, you had like literally within minutes, Israel pulling diplomats for Spain, expelling diplomats from Jerusalem. Israel stops, I see his headline, Israel stops Spanish consulate from providing services to Palestinians. So you have complete diplomatic war between Israel and Spain now, because Spain had the audacity of acknowledging the Palestinian state. And this is pure cope, my friends. Look, Israel's foreign minister cut ties between Spanish embassy and West Bank Palestinians after recognition of a Palestinian state. And I'm going to show you guys one of many quote tweets. This is from Israel's Minister of Foreign Affairs. In response to Spain's recognition of a Palestinian state and the anti-Semitic call by Spain's deputy prime minister to not just recognize a Palestinian state, but to liberate Palestine from the river to the sea. So they're calling Spain the whole ass country. The whole ass country of Spain is now anti-Semitic now. You know, for acknowledging the nation and the state of Semitic people. This is not like over some random Zionist account. And trust me, there was a lot of crazy Zionists yesterday. But this is the foreign minister, the minister of foreign affairs. I'm sorry, the minister of foreign affairs at Israel that's sending these unhinged tweets. All these official government Israeli people that essentially declaring war against Spain. I will start again. This is so fucking hilarious to me. In response to Spain's recognition of a Palestinian state and an anti-Semitic call by Spain's deputy prime minister to not just recognize a Palestinian state, but to liberate Palestine from the river to the sea, I have decided to survey the connection between Spain's representation in Israel and the Palestinians, and to prohibit the Spanish consulate in Jerusalem from providing services to Palestinians in the West Bank. If this ignorant, hate-filled individual wants to understand what radical Islam truly seeks, she should study the 700 years of Islamic rule. So as the entirety of the world is trying to make this about diplomacy, international law, rules and norms, you have Israelis, and they've been doing this their entire life, that wants the world to accept the religious claims to a holy war. Why should we accept your guys' fucking religious claims to a holy war? You guys see that you guys accepting these Islamists? I don't hate Muslims like you guys do. And the arrogance, and this is how radicalized these Israelis are, would they legitimately expect the world to accept the religious claim to a holy land, which I don't? Like, why should we? I'm not religious. And if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're any person who is not of Jewish faith, why is it imposed on us that we should accept what the hell you guys are saying? I don't even acknowledge your fucking holy land. I don't acknowledge your religion. I want to be, I'm very tolerant. I'm very tolerant of other people's religion belief. I don't insult people's religion, but there's nothing that makes it why I have to acknowledge what you guys fucking believe. I don't have to believe the shit that's in your book. You know what I mean? You had Jews that was expelled from Europe. Anti-Semitism and the height of anti-Semitism came from Europe. And then white people then shifted the blame of their anti-Semitisms on Arabs. And I've been doing a lot of reading on history recently, and I'm gonna be able to report this more in depth when I finish my reading. But I've done a lot of reading about how historically Arabs and Muslims gave safe haven to Jews throughout the course of the last few centuries whenever they had to flee the rise of anti-Semitism, not in the Arab world, but in Europe. And then white people convinced everyone that Arabs are the people who hate Jews. The craziest psyop that they ever accomplished. One of them, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. They managed to convince people that Arabs hate Jews when it was the European, it was the white people who are not tolerant, who always got to find a minority to pick on. Right now, like, it's fun to pick on immigrants. It was fun to pick on Muslims. Before that, they would pick on black people. Before that, at the same time, concurrently, they were picking on German immigrants, Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants. Are you guys starting to see the problem with the West? I know it hurts your guys' feelings when I point this out, but they always look for the other to demonize. That's just the reality of European culture, Western European culture. That's just the reality of it. And they somehow projected that culture onto Arabs, and people believed it. The Gen X and Boomers believed it. The reason why they're calling our generation Hamas supporters, the reason why we were being called little Hamases by my senator Josh Hawley, is because we are the first generation that's seen through this bullshit. That didn't allow white people and Europeans to convince us to hate Arabs. Once again, we told you guys this new era. We're not holding back, my friends. Why should we hold back against these monsters? Why should we hold back against these monsters in the West who supports these monsters? White America who support these monsters? European culture who support these monsters? Look at this. Exclusive. Israeli soldiers set fire to Asa University's library in Gaza City and took picture of themselves in front of the flames. And I looked into this. This picture went viral on Israeli social media because there was this post where it was like, hey, this guy is reading the Torah and he's been lit up. How they put it? They're saying this soldier reading the Torah and he has great lighting. It was something like that. And this image went viral in a positive way in Israel. And then people were like, oh, this happens all the time where like observers will be watching and they infiltrate Israeli media and they will report on what they see in horror. You guys see what they posted over there? This picture was praised in Israel. Book burning. Modern age book burning by the Zionist Nazi fascists. Do you guys understand what's going on here? And my question for the idiots, for the morons, for the youthful idiots for genocide is how does burning a library, how does burning books lead to the defeat of Hamas, my friends? It absolutely do not. This has nothing to do with defeating Hamas, nothing to do with even crushing resistance. This is ethnic cleansing and genocide. Stories like these is why it's completely ridiculous for anyone to assert the claim that Israel is at war with Hamas, something that I have never accepted. Fam, I have never, and you guys watch my videos, I have never accepted the claim that Israel is at war with Hamas. Their goal was the eradication of the Palestinian people and their culture. Almost an hour in. It's supposed to be. I think I got time for one more segment. Damn. I'm gonna be live tomorrow as well. We're gonna do Saturday show too because I was off on YouTube for the last 2 days. We have a hotspot video that should be releasing soon. Let me check. Did they send me the video? They should. Our editor should be done by. I have a hotspot coming out soon. What story should I do next? Man, I got so much content prepared. I gotta do this. I gotta say something for tomorrow. Let's talk about the Georgia foreign agents bill. Yeah, I think we do that next because this is a story that I keep pushing off. So I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. I hope you guys are enjoying the new era of RBN. We got a lot of stuff planned. We are like currently restructuring everything in RBN. We're still in the very early stages. There's still a lot going on in this new era. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Please like and share, and make sure you guys check out my stream I did. My last stream was on Tuesday with Liam Cosgrove. And actually, what I think I'm gonna do, I think I was just on DD Geopolitics with Sarah. Someone said, "Brother Nick restructured his hair." I see anyone talking about it. Nick with the fresh cut looks good on you. New era, new look. If I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys, because you guys know I'm trying to grow this afro out. I've been neglecting it for a bit because I've been trying to grow this afro out, and I saw someone who left a comment that hurt my feelings. Now, I get trolled all the time. People leave me a lot of nasty messages all the time, and it's just like right off my shoulder. Because whenever people spread bullshit, whenever people lie about you, it doesn't hurt. You know what hurts? When people tell the truth. So there's a comment I saw there like, man, Nick need to see a barber. And I was like, man, what the fuck you motherfucker. My initial reaction was anger. Then I realized the reason why I was angry at that comment because it was true. Like, once again, when people bullshit and when people lie and try to troll me, shit doesn't impact me at all. It's only when It's only when you tell the truth, and I acknowledge that I let my hair kind of go crazy, and I knew that person who roasted me for that was telling the truth. So back when I used to sell cars, this was my look. Shorter hair for the most part, but I've been through a lot over the last few years, guys. You have no idea. Like the amount of energy and stress that RBN brought to my life. Like people always talk about the story of me quitting my job to work on the Bernie campaign, but what you guys think the consequences of that was? Your boy been through a lot of shit over the last few years. I'm like, man, fuck my hair, man. I'm gonna let this shit grow. I don't give a fuck. But in the new era of RBN, let's clean it up. This is my professional look when I used to sell cars back in the day. So we're trying to be more professional. I'm trying to curse less. I've been unsuccessful, but it will be less of that. So when we say new era, I really mean it. So there was my look when I was a salesman, when I used to charm my customers. You know what I mean? Thank you for the membership, Oath Crow. Use your words, Nick. We are adults. I know that you guys are not going to be offended, but we've been consulting a lot with my dear sister, an absolute gem of RBN, Sabby Sabs. And one thing that hurts us in the algorithm is my potty mouth. So apparently, if a lot our potty mouth hurts us in the algorithm. So that's another main reason. I know I'm not hurting your guys' feelings, you know what I mean, or offending you guys. We trying to, like, Sabby is killing the game. We have a lot to learn from Sabby. Like, Sabby impresses me so much. Like, I seen Sabby when she had like 500, 800, 1,000 subscribers. To see what Sabby Sabs have become has been incredible. So I'm in a very humble way. I'm like, Sabby, show us the way. And this is what didn't happen in the old culture because of ego. We're not going to rehash it. But whenever Sabby tried to give us advice, someone's ego got in the way, and it always led to a fight. That would lead to the last fight. Was Sabby just giving us some advice, you know, as someone who's killing the damn game, and then someone's getting their feelings hurt, and that would lead to a conflict in RBN. But once again, we're not going to rehash it. In this new era, there's no toxic culture anymore. There's no ego. So we have a lot to learn from Sabby, and that's why, in general, I'm trying to clean things up. You know what I mean? Because out of advice from our sister who's killing the game. Thank you for the $5. The amazing Blumpkin, a nation of monsters. Well said. We have Wendy gifting memberships. All right, let's get into oh shit, did AP pull this article? What the hell? Oh shit, hold on, let me find this article. Foreign agents. We did talk about the foreign agents bill in Georgia. I've been following this story. Oh, Jesus Christ. U.S. announces travel ban for Georgia politicians supporting the foreign agents bill. Oh, guys, wait till I tell you guys this story. The main article I was about to use was apparently taken down by AP. What the hell is happening? Maybe I guess I'll use this one. So I had an original... my article. I think AP took it down. What the hell? So for people who don't know, because we were covering in over the course of the last week or so, the thuggery, the terrorist behavior of the West. We just covered Republican senators threatening the ICC, threatening the ICJ, threatening anyone who wanted to hold Israel account. But this is not new, guys. The criminal thuggish behavior of the West is being fully exposed. And this Georgia foreign agent law is literally crazy. It's insanity, because what Georgia is simply doing is they're trying to pass a law which is identical to the laws that we have on the books in this country about the Georgia foreign agents law, making so any organization that receive at least 20% of their funding from foreign sources, foreign influences, they must report it to the government. A very reasonable law. Despite the fact that they passed this very reasonable law, The same law that many countries have on the books in our country. The United States and the West is completely melting down, which is showing their hands, because just like every country in the West, every country, actually not even the West, every country in the world, the United States pops up radical groups that are willing to sell out their people in order for the ruling class to propose pro-American, pro-Western policies. Let me just read from this. I was about to read from another one. I just want to show you guys how ridiculous the West reaction to this very reasonable law. You have color revolutions that are being funded because this law was proposed last year, and you have the West that helped kill the foreign agents bill that was proposed last year. You have these protests, and I'm not gonna lie, these protests wasn't small because Georgia, like a lot of countries, is deeply divided. But this foreign agents bill is supported by around 70 to 75% of the population. But what the United States and the West do, they fund and they inflame the most extreme elements, the dissent. And now they're pretending that, oh my God, there are all these protests against the foreign agents bill that mostly supported by the people. And this is outlined by Canton here. Georgia has no sovereignty. After the foreign agent bill passed the parliament with 75% support, rioters sponsored by foreign agents, the NGOs, forced the bill to be withdrawn. Now, this was last year, and we're seeing similar protests now. So let me just read. I'm going to show you guys how the BBC is covering this. I had to slightly adjust because I had an AP article, but for whatever reason, the URL, the article has been pulled. I don't know why. So hopefully the BBC gives me the gems that I found in this in the AP article. So let's read this. I haven't scanned this article first like I did the other one. Let's see. The U.S. has said it is reviewing its bilateral cooperation with Georgia over its controversial foreign agents law. Controversial. Now, the AP article, and I'm seeing already the BBC is following this same talking point, where they're gonna portray this bill. In a lot of the articles I've been reading, you have to skim, you have to go paragraphs in. You have to get to like damn near the end of the article before they actually describe what the bill actually does. They will say, oh, it's a pro-Russia bill, it's a bill sponsored by Putin. It's the ruling party that is becoming too close with Russia, so they are passing this pro-Russian bill. This bill has nothing to do with Russia at all. This bill is about limiting Western and EU pressures on Georgia by having transparency, by disclosing foreign donations to organizations. But look, you guys see there, the foreign agent law that triggered weeks of mass protests that was Western backed. And now look at this statement by Anthony Blinken. I'm glad that they included this because it was in the AP article as well. In a statement, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said Washington was introducing visa restrictions for individuals responsible for undermining democracy in Georgia. Bro, you literally cannot make this shit up. Liberals understand that if there's anything that goes against the Western order, the only thing they have to do is say it's a threat to democracy. They're literally trying to say that having transparency in a policy where organizations have to release and disclose foreign donations is a threat to democracy. Bro, we have the same law on the book, and I'm kicking myself. Chat, can you help me out? Do you guys remember the name of the law? I'm blanking. We literally have the same law that's technically on the books. It doesn't apply to Israel. Well, I guess it does technically. We know it's Israeli donations coming in, I guess. But you guys understand that we have this same exact fucking law on the books in our country? Is it Farah? Thank you guys. Damn, I can't believe I I should probably looked it up. Yeah, let me look it up. Hell, here it is. Look at this. Thank you guys. I probably should dig this up when I was preparing. This is policy in the United States. The Foreign Agents Registration Act. The Foreign Agents Registration Act was enabled in 1938. FAR requires certain agents of foreign principals who are engaged in political activities or other activities specified under the statute to make periodic public disclosure of the relationship with the foreign principal, as well as activities, receipts, and disbursements in support of those activities. So there's so many things that's so hilarious about this story. But this is just another example of Western hypocrisy. So we have the same law in the book, but when Georgia proposes it, it's all of a sudden a Russian bill. That was the language that the AP was using. I didn't read this article before. We're going through this together for the first time. So the AP, and they were describing it as a pro-Russian bill. They put in sanctions on Georgia. There's legislation being passed. There are discussions being had about reevaluating our relationship with Georgia because they're becoming too close to Putin. You guys understand this talking point is all based on this bill, a same bill that we have in our country. And bro, I got something else that I'm gonna show you guys. Where you had the EU openly threatening Georgian officials with assassination for supporting this bill. So when you see the reactions of the West, because Russia and China support this bill, I remember reading that. I might have fact checked myself on that because I just remember seeing that. Russia was supportive of this bill. Meanwhile, the entirety of the West, UK, France, the United States, they are melting down over the fact that people in Georgia have to disclose their donations if it's foreign. So what does that say? That alone is them admitting that they constantly engage in CIA activities in Georgia to manipulate them into being pro-West and anti-Russia. So once again, I will acknowledge that there are protests in the streets, but these protests are Western-backed and Western-funded. The Georgian parliament adopted the bill on foreign agents in its first reading, immediately following the bill's passage. As many as 10,000 protesters took the streets to the capital. I don't know how to pronounce it, but their capital. The French president of Georgia once again promised to veto the law on foreign agents. Remember, 75% of elected officials support the foreign agents law because they acknowledge how big of a threat foreign influence is on their country and their national security. But Georgia apparently is not allowed to defend themselves. That's only for Nazi regimes like one in Ukraine and for Nazi Zionist regimes in Israel, apparently. Look, those who oppose the bill criticize it as pro-Russian, despite its undeniable similarities to American laws on the same page. Now you guys see why the West is losing influence? Because I follow corporate media. No one in the West is talking about this. When they do talk about this, they leaving a lot out. They leave, like I've seen entire corporate media segments we don't have time for today. I'm already going over. Where they would talk about this bill without actually explaining to the audience what it is. They would say, oh my God, Georgia, it is another example of Putin influence. They would do a whole last 5 to 8 minute segment and never describe what the bill is. Because they know they're in the wrong. You had the Georgia Dream Party. So the Georgia Dream Party is the party that is pushing this bill, which the figurehead president don't support. Once again, I've been learning a lot about Georgia, but they have like a figurehead president that will veto this without the support. They are big advocates of this, and they even have support from the other side. And once again, this is mostly popular among the populace, but it's not like a unified China or Russia, for example. I will acknowledge that. This is just like in Ukraine. It's just like in Taiwan when there's more of like a 70-30 split. About 70% of the country supports this bill, but then you have 30% who've been tricked by CIA, Western propaganda. They fall for the color revolution ops, and they are the ones who oppose it. But the critics of the bill are the people who are lying. They are the enemies of the truth. And think about who these extremists are in Georgia who wants to create a shadow government where organizations, politicians can get money from foreign agencies and not disclose it. Does that sound like people who want to have the best interests of their country at heart? So once again, this is my country, and I'm not making judgments on this. I just know where my principles lie, and I obviously see who is in the correct here. One country want to protect its sovereignty against Western foreign invasion versus the other side who want to sell their people out. It's a story as old as time. Just like in South Vietnam. Just like those class traders in Korea. A tale as old as time. Pick out the dissidents and fund them. Just like Juan Guaido and their friends' party in Venezuela. Just like Alexei Navalny and his friends' party in Russia. This is a long time Western strategy. Now, if they accuse U.S. of threats and blackmail, you have the Dream Party that supports the foreign agents bill. They're saying, guys, what the West is doing right now is crazy. I'm going to show you guys an example of that here very soon. What the West is doing is completely crazy. Like, they're threatening sanctions, travel bans. Look, and this is what I put up earlier. The U.S. Senate is considering bipartisan Georgia sanctions. So it's not just the Republicans here. You got Democrats. I actually need to look up what Democrats are on. I'm assuming like the John Fetterman, Chuck Schumer wing. New Hampshire Democrat Jean Shaheen. Don't know her, but you guys got to remember, like 80% of the Democratic Party are like just unapologetic neocons. You don't know who they are. They work in secret, just pumping the empire up. So this is bipartisan. The U.S. bill will impose travel bans and other sanctions on Georgia politicians for obstructing Georgia's Euro-Atlantic integration. Let me repeat that. I kind of butchered it. They accuse these politicians for protecting their sovereignty and essentially proposing a bill that they have in our country. A very reasonable bill, they're saying, would obstruct Georgia's Euro-Atlantic integration. The West is ran by thugs, my friends. Stop using civility politics. They call us criminals. White America have the audacity to call me and my community criminals, and they openly rebel against international law. They overthrow the sovereignty of other countries. They support genocide. They support economic sanctions against 1/3 of the population. They violate the sovereignty of countries, destabilize entire regions. But they think my communities are thugs? They think you guys think we're violent? You guys think we're against the rule of law, even though I'm a law-abiding citizen? The majority of our community is. How white Americans say, oh, look at all those thugs and criminals in the black community. It's the European Western society that outright breaks the law all the time. They believe in relaxed, laissez-faire, libertarian interpretation of the law in terms of the ruling class in white America, but then they want to impose harsh authoritarian law and order on the black community because we have kids that steal Skittles every once in a while. We're not stealing entire fucking regions. We're not hijacking the entire infrastructure of a nation. When have black Americans, when have black people ever destabilized an entire whole ass region as you guys, anyway, I'm just ranting now. No, I mean, but this is their ideology. I had to point out, it's their ideology. And it's the ideology of the West and Europeans. I'll tell you guys, they're not holding back because this is what we see. A lot of white people are confused, but this is what we see. You guys think your society is so enlightened. You guys think you're so enlightened. You guys think that everyone else is barbarians. It's you guys that's the barbarians. It's you guys that engage in violent colonialism. It's you guys that rely on slavery. When you look at the global majority, when you look at indigenous people, they was more than happy with their living conditions. They was more than happy with taking care of each other. It was the white majority, the European and the white American, who they just wanted more. So selfish, they wanted to enslave people. They wanted to kill and overthrow nations because they just wanted it all. And those same people, without blinking, would criticize China, Iran. Look at the savages in China. Look at the savages in Africa. They are extremely judgmental of every culture, as they are the thugs, as they are the ones who rebel against international law, as they are the ones with the most blood on their hands. So this channel is not the place to go if you want to keep your identity as Western chauvinist intact. Look, you guys see how long you had to go in the article before they describe what this pro-Russian bill is? Look, passed last week, the law requires non-governmental organizations and independent media that receive more than 20% of their funding from foreign donors to register as organizations bearing the interests of a foreign power. Guys, that's reasonable as fuck. You couldn't get a more reasonable fucking law than this. This is the law that they are describing as upending the Euro-Georgian integration. This is the law that Democrats are teaming up with Republicans in order to pass sanctions on Georgia, because apparently sanctioning 1/3 of the world's population is not enough. And now we have this, my friends. This is what I was building up to. You guys know I was in the lab cooking. This story is something else, my friends. Bro, I've been obsessed with geopolitics, not only because just what I do, but in general, because you can't write fiction that's crazier than the reality that we are living in. Like, people watching Game of Thrones, man, I thought that shit was boring compared to real life. So you guys remember Robert Fico, the prime minister of Slovakia that was shot in the chest? I did a hotspot video about it. And then I explained in the video, because I used critical thinking. What did I tell you guys? I told you guys that if you use critical thinking, if you look at the people who have the motive to get rid of this guy who wanted normalized relations with Russia, who criticized the Ukraine war, it was obviously the West and Ukraine that had something to do with it. And now, what does this tell us, guys? Well, we have, I think this is the prime minister of Georgia. I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Actually, let's use the app. How do you pronounce that? Pronounce. Again, can even Google figure this out? Let's see. Can you guys hear that? That's the prime minister's name. Okay. One more time. So Prime Minister Kovacic? I heard it 4 times. I still can't say it. Anyway, the Prime Minister of Georgia posted an official statement saying that he was being routinely blackmailed by high-ranking foreign politicians. So there's multiple threats, my friends, being levied at politicians in Georgia for having a bill that is similar to the bill we have in the United States. And he said he was particularly aghast during a phone call with the unnamed EU commissioner who listed the range of measures that Western politicians may take if we overcome the veto. And he said that the commissioner told him, "You saw what happened to Robert Fico. You should be very careful. Bro, they did it. Let me see if I found my hotspot video, actually. Yeah, actually, I'm going to play my hotspot video. Because I covered this when he was shot. I told you guys. I was going to do less I told you so too, but man. I didn't have this plan, but let's play my video on it. Fico. I have another segment on Taiwan, but I'm going to do it tomorrow instead. Oh, here it is. Let's watch my hotspot. As I get something to drink real quick. This is why literally what I predicted. And now after this been made public, like, why would he lie about this? No one believes that he's lying, right? Why would you lie about that? I 100% believe him. And he definitely got in threat, and God knows what they've been telling him. Now, they did a story about Robert Fico, and I told you guys the West definitely did this shit. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I just now saw there's a glitch going on. This is like the second time this happened where I don't know why the sound not playing. I'm sorry that I didn't catch the audio too late. I'm sorry. Yeah, fuck, man. I hate that. It's a glitch that happens. I can hear everything, but for some reason I don't know why it's been doing this recently. I'm sorry about that. Let's let me know. I'll be watching the chat this time. Let me know if it's working this time.
Robert Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, who's been a very open critic of the West's war in Ukraine, have been shot. Robert Fico was meeting with supporters when a gunman hiding in the crowd shot him in the head and in the chest. Robert Fico is currently in critical condition, and we will know his fate maybe a few hours after I finish this video. This is very significant and interesting because Slovakia is one of the few NATO nations that are not completely subservient to the United States. Robert Fico said that we can pour all the money and all the weapons in the world in Ukraine, and we will not defeat Russia. So we need to consider peace options and negotiation. Apparently, Robert Fico simply advocating for peace in Ukraine was enough for Western media to paint him as some sort of Putin puppet.
But he's become very pro-Russian over the years, and one wonders why and how, but maybe that's his conviction. They dig their toes in against aid to Ukraine and against any sort of sympathy with Kiev. And they keep saying, look, we want the war to finish. And by that, they mean they want the Russians to succeed, and then the war will be over if Ukraine would just surrender and give up territory. And so that's the view he takes. Now, that's very divisive in Slovakia. It's divisive within the EU. So it's not surprising that this sort of event might take place.
Maybe if you guys listen to Robert Fico, there will be less dead Ukrainians, and NATO and the West will be in a better negotiation position with Russia. We also had Robert Fico, who was a vocal critic of the WHO pandemic treaty and refused to sign it. So the leader who wanted normalized relations with Russia, who criticized NATO proxy war in Ukraine, who criticized the WHO's pandemic policies, was also a victim of a brutal assassination attempt. How convenient for the West.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died. Did it have anything to do with your visit? No, I'm sure it did.
I tell you, boy, my team at Hotspot, we be in the lab cooking, don't we? We be in the lab cooking. So we didn't have necessarily evidence, but I knew how to use critical thinking. When you use critical thinking, who has the motive to do this? It was obvious. Who has a pattern of behavior of engaging in said activity, because you can't accuse someone of something when there's no pattern of behavior. So you have the motive and you have a pattern of behavior by the West in engaging in this stuff. Ukraine openly said they should have the right to assassinate anyone who side with the Russians in their struggle. So Ukraine and the West, they have a pattern of behavior of doing this, and they have the motive. That's why I'm like, bro, this is why I think they did it. That's how you analyze these kind of stories. That's how you reach your own conclusion. And for the update for you guys, by the way, he survived. He's recovering now, and you can still see the West. Bro, the headlines I've been seeing, maybe I should dig some more. I'm actually kind of curious to see what they've been saying about him recently. Because, bro, the West was so fucking disappointed that he didn't die. Bro, I in my segment when I covered it live last week, you had CNN and BBC just openly smearing the guy like, oh, well, he only had himself to blame to get shot because he kind of fucking sucks. As Slovakia's prime ministers remain hospitalized, politics return to a boil. So they try to say that it's very divisive in the country. Anyone who opposes Western regime is divisive. So I obviously knew that the West played a role in this. I didn't have any evidence. I admit that, but it matched the motive and it matched their code of conduct. And now we have what I view as enough for me to say this undisputedly, that the West, the EU, definitely has something to do with it. Because if they did not, why would you say this? You saw what happened to Robert Fico. You should be very careful. But Nick, come on, man. Don't you know that Slovakia, they have corruption problems? Don't you know that this is a right-wing government? XXXXX. I already see what you guys. I already see what people had to say because they don't want to accept the truth. And I've seen how Western media covered this story where they tried to do everything they can to hide the motive of the shooter. I laid out why the West would want to get rid of him, Ukraine being one of the reasons. And then right after that, I was paying attention to what the guy said. And the guy said, the shooter, said that he targeted Fico because he disagreed with the policies of the government. What does that mean? Now, there was still a lot to dig up here. But as I reported, you guys saw in my last report on Fico, it was directly related to Ukraine funding. Look, Judas government is the guy who shot him. Judas government should have backed Ukraine. Shooting suspect says, hold on, my brother's here. Hold up. What's popping? Let me open the door. Hold up, my brother's here. Let me play a video. Hold up, 1 second. My brother's here. Let me play a video. I gotta open the door. 1 second. Damn it. Hold up. It's good. I'm almost done. Hold up. I'm still alive. I'll get right to you. What's popping, guys? That's my brother. What's popping? You see, they already saying let your brother in. They good. They already know what's going on. But you guys see the shooter who shot Fico was backing spending to Ukraine. Why would someone in Slovakia support the struggle of the Ukrainians, a whole ass government, so much that they will risk their life in order to shoot and kill the president? And once again, this is only me using critical thinking. There is nobody that would do this without some sort of support from a shadowy organization. And what kind of shadowy organization has a history of doing such a thing? CIA, MI6, right? I think that, luckily enough, I think we're pretty much done here because Jordan's bill I'm still going to be following because, bro, this story was crazy. This story was crazy to witness, but I'm at the end. I was playing for 90 minutes and we landed right on the dot 90 minutes today. So might see what my brother's up to. Let me read the last few super chats I see here, and then we can begin to wrap up. I am planning a live stream for tomorrow as well. Nick at noon Saturday. Is that what I'm planning? RBN Live Saturday. I still have a whole ass segment I'm actually cutting from this live stream. I thought I can do 3 segments in 90 minutes. I almost switched some with Chuck. I should have known that wasn't possible. But I have a story over Taiwan. We're going to discuss Taiwan and China, where the UN openly rebukes neocons in the West, where they claim that Taiwan is a province of China. So I don't want to spoil it too much. I'm gonna have a blast covering this story. That plus a few other things I will find, or any other breaking news I'm planning on covering tomorrow. But let's get to some super chats as we wrap up here. Oh shit, let me take this down. F-bombs are not RBN's my show. What's popping, John? I appreciate you guys for supporting. You're the man, Nick. RBN for life. Bakerfield, California. What's popping? Super Seamster Sewing Show. Support. Appreciate the support. Nick, please react, challenge Destiny in his geopolitics nonsense in YouTube video. How China and Russia. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's no way. Destiny talking about BRICS and China and Russia. Oh, Jesus Christ. I couldn't imagine anything that's worse than what to watch. You guys remember, I debated Destiny. He's like, the establishment loves him now. He getting all these debates. Everyone sees him as a punching bag. I debated him over fascism. You guys remember? If you're a new subscriber, search it on our channel. You can find it. I posted it. The debate between me and Destiny. Actually, I'm gonna do that as my outro video. I'm gonna show you guys. I fucking dismantled Destiny. I'm not even saying, like, bro. I saw his chat, and even his chat was like, bro, this is not going well for Destiny. I play that as my outro video. Trying to figure out what I gotta search to find it. 1 second. But it was too easy. Like, bro, if I had to debate Destiny on BRICS and Russia, China, I'm sure that he said so many lies it would be easy. Oh damn, I don't know if I can find it. What the hell did I got? Maybe I got search. I know what Rome said about it. Oh man, I might have to drop the idea. I can't find the video. Shit. Oh, bro, they took it down, bro. Did this boy Destiny pull it? Look, I found the video. Look, the media could not be played. They're like, bro, hell nah. Let me see if I find. I know Rome posted it. Maybe if I search Rome. Oh shit, Rome is banned. Oh, god damn it. Oh well, not a big deal. If you guys are interested, you guys can find the debate on my channel on RBN. I think this is the last super chat that I see. 2 more I see. Thank you, Paul Linoski. I live in Europe, and I agree with you in regards to Western chauvinists as well as the history of anti-Semitism. I have started to read the Quran, and it demands tolerance for Jews and Christians. And somehow, and once again, big shout out to all our white allies. And that's always, it doesn't even have to be said usually when I go on these rants, because you guys obviously follow us for a reason. You're not part of this overall criticism I'm talking about. But it's undeniable that what I'm talking about is the primary driver of policy and culture. That's why I'm not criticizing you guys. So big shout out to Powell here. But Western white European society was able to shift the anger that should have went to the Germans and to people in Europe for enabling the Germans, and somehow they was able to shift it and made everyone hate Arabs, even though anti-Semitism was birthed and thrived in Europe. Anyway, thank you for $5. Baser Maternal Rage. Thank you, Nick and RBN fam. Big Poor Unite. Well said. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this 90-minute rant stream. I think we covered a lot. We covered Israel getting completely destroyed by Hamas, not only just on the battlefield, but diplomatically. And then I finally got a chance to do the segment on the Georgia foreign agents bill that I've been following for quite some time. So we cover Taiwan tomorrow and whatever may be breaking. and wherever I may find interesting as well for maybe a short 1 hour stream tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good Friday.